The crystal glass slipped from Sebastian Romano's hand and shattered across the white marble floor. Every person in the breakfast room went still. A server stopped with a silver tray suspended against his chest. Two armed guards near the terrace doors turned at once. Even the old grandfather clock seemed to fall silent beneath the weight of Sebastian's stare. Lily Morgan stood beside the long dining table with a folded linen cloth in one hand. She had been polishing the antique silver when Sebastian entered. She had expected him to pass through the room without acknowledging her, as he did most mornings. He was a man who seemed to carry winter inside him. He rarely raised his voice because he had never needed to, but now he was staring directly at her. Not at her face, at the necklace resting against her throat. It was an old piece, delicate and unusual. A silver swan curved around a small blue stone that caught the morning sunlight. Lily had found it the previous Sunday at a crowded flea market near the harbor. The elderly vendor had asked for $8. Lily had offered $5. Thinking the stone was colored glass and the chain was tarnished, costume jewelry, the necklace had reminded her of something beautiful, surviving after everyone had forgotten it. That was the only reason she had bought it. Sebastian stepped through the broken glass without looking down. His black suit was perfectly tailored. His expression was calm. But Lily saw something dangerous moving behind his dark eyes. "Where did you get that?" His voice was quiet. Lily glanced at the necklace. "At the harbor flea market." "Who gave it to you?" "Nobody gave it to me. I bought it." Sebastian stopped in front of her. "For how much?" $5. A strange sound passed through the room. One of the older servants had inhaled sharply. Sebastian lifted his hand toward the necklace. His fingers came within an inch of Lily's skin, then stopped. For one suspended moment, neither of them moved. Lily could feel the heat of his hand near her collarbone. His gaze traveled over the silver swan, the blue stone, and the tiny scratches along the clasp. His face did not change, but something inside him seemed to fracture. "Lock every gate," he said. The guards moved instantly. "No vehicle leaves the property. No employee makes a telephone call. Search every room and every person." Lily stepped backward. "What is happening?" Sebastian's eyes rose to hers. "That necklace belonged to my mother." Lily looked down at the pendant. She had worn it while cleaning windows, carrying laundry, and scrubbing the marble floor. She had almost left it inside a kitchen drawer that morning because the clasp had been difficult to close. She looked back at Sebastian. Then it was probably sold after she died. It was not sold. His jaw tightened. It was placed around her neck before her coffin was sealed. The enormous doors at the front of the estate closed with a deep metallic impact. Locks turned. Armed men moved through the hallways. And Lily suddenly understood that she was no longer an employee standing before her employer. She was a suspect trapped inside the home of the most feared man in Boston. Sebastian brought her into his private study. The room overlooked the gray Atlantic through windows that stretched from floor to ceiling. Dark bookshelves covered the walls. A fire burned beneath a marble mantel, even though the morning was warm. Lily sat in a leather chair while Sebastian remained standing. Two of his men searched her bedroom on the servants' floor. Another team had already been sent to the flea market. Sebastian placed a framed photograph on the desk in front of her. The woman in the photograph possessed elegant features and dark hair. She stood beside a younger version of Sebastian's father during a formal charity gala. Around her neck was the silver swan. The same blue stone rested above her heart. Lily felt the color leave her face. "I have never seen this woman before." Sebastian studied her expression. Her name was Lena Romano. "I am sorry. Do not offer sympathy yet." His voice remained calm, but his fingers pressed against the edge of the desk. "You may need it for yourself." Lily met his gaze. "Are you threatening me?" "I am explaining your situation. You locked me inside an estate because I wore something I bought beside a table of used kitchen appliances. That necklace was buried 20 years ago. Then someone removed it." Sebastian's eyes narrowed. That is the first intelligent thing anyone has said since I entered the room. Lily should have lowered her gaze. Everyone inside the estate lowered their gaze when Sebastian looked at them that way. She did not. I did not steal from a grave. You expect me to accept that because you said it. No. I expect you to investigate it and discover that I am telling the truth. A faint change passed over his face. It was not trust. Sebastian Romano did not give trust to anyone. It was interest. Lily had worked at the estate for 7 months. She had learned that interest from Sebastian was often more dangerous than anger. His head of security entered, carrying Lily's canvas handbag. Rafael Costa was broad-shouldered, heavily scarred, and usually silent. We found nothing in her room, he said. No weapons, no listening equipment, no hidden money. Her bank account contains less than $900. Lily looked at him. You searched my bank account, Rafael did not respond. Sebastian did. I searched everything. She folded her arms. Then you know that I am not part of some criminal conspiracy. I know that you are either innocent or exceptionally well prepared. There was a knock at the door. Another man entered. The flea market stall is gone, he said. The vendor left before sunrise. Nobody knows his name. The security camera facing that section was disabled during the hours when Miss Morgan purchased the necklace. Sebastian's gaze returned to Lily. She felt the atmosphere change. Someone had erased the trail. Someone had known she would be there. Or someone wanted Sebastian to believe that. Lily rose from the chair. I am leaving. No. You searched me. You searched my room. You checked my bank account. You found nothing. Sebastian moved around the desk. You are not leaving this estate while someone is erasing evidence connected to you. I have a life outside these gates. For the moment, you have a life because you are inside them. She stared at him. What does that mean? The answer came from the window. Glass exploded inward. Sebastian crossed the space before Lily heard the gunshot. His body struck hers, driving her behind the desk as another bullet tore through the chair where she had been standing. Books fell from the shelves. The framed photograph of Elena shattered against the floor. Sebastian covered Lily with his body. One arm locked around her waist. The other shielded her head as his men rushed toward the windows. More shots broke the glass. Sebastian drew a weapon from beneath his jacket and fired toward the tree line beyond the garden. The sound thundered through the study. Lily pressed her face against his chest. She could smell smoke, expensive cologne, and the sharp metallic scent of blood. Blood. She lifted her head. A piece of glass had cut Sebastian's hand. A dark line ran from his palm to his wrist. He did not seem to notice. Rafael shouted orders. Guards poured through the corridors. Black vehicles moved across the lawn toward the trees. Then silence returned as abruptly as the violence had begun. Sebastian looked down at Lily. Are you hurt? She shook her head. His arm remained around her. The desk pressed against her back, and his body held her completely within the shelter of his chest. He was breathing hard, but his eyes were cold and controlled. Lily realized that the shooter had not fired at him first. The first bullet had struck the chair behind her. They were aiming at me. Sebastian looked at the splintered leather. Yes. Why? That is what I am going to discover. His hand tightened slightly against her waist. Until then, you do not leave my sight. The shooter escaped through the forest. Sebastian's men found a rifle, tire tracks, and a silver coin marked with the Romano family crest. It was an old design that had not been used since Sebastian's father controlled the organization. The coin disturbed Sebastian more than the bullets. He ordered Lily moved from the servants' floor into a guarded bedroom beside his private suite. She refused. He ignored the refusal. By afternoon, her clothes had been transferred upstairs. 2 guards stood outside her door. Another watched the balcony. Lily found Sebastian in the adjoining sitting room. studying photographs from the shooting. His injured hand had been wrapped carelessly in a blood-stained handkerchief. She placed a medical box on the table. "Give me your hand." Sebastian did not look up. "A doctor is coming. The doctor lives 40 minutes away. And you are bleeding on a rug that probably costs more than my yearly salary." That rug belonged to a Russian ambassador, then he should have taken better care of it. Sebastian finally looked at her. Lily opened the medical box. His gaze moved over her face, perhaps searching for fear. She was afraid. Her hands still trembled when she remembered the sound of bullets cutting through glass. But fear did not make Sebastian invincible. It only made everyone around him pretend that he was. He sat opposite her and extended his hand. Lily removed the handkerchief. The cut was deep but clean. She poured antiseptic over it. His fingers tightened. "Does that hurt?" "No." "Then you should stop trying to crush the chair." His eyes remained on her as she cleaned the wound. Lily was aware of every inch of distance between them. Sebastian had removed his jacket. His white shirt was open at the throat, and a dark tattoo disappeared beneath the fabric near his collarbone. She wrapped a bandage around his palm. "You saved my life," she said. "I prevented a bullet from damaging the only useful piece of evidence I possess." Lily looked up. "Is that what I am? Evidence? For now." Her fingers paused around his wrist. "Then do not expect gratitude." Something almost like approval appeared in his eyes. "You are not frightened enough. I am frightened enough to understand that someone tried to kill me inside your house. My house is safer than anywhere else in this city. Someone shot through your window." He leaned closer. "And they failed." The words should have sounded arrogant. Instead, they sounded like a promise. Lily released his hand. Sebastian did not pull away immediately. His bandaged palm rested between them. His thumb brushed once against the inside of her wrist, almost by accident. Then he withdrew. That night, Lily could not sleep. The estate was too quiet. Guards moved outside her door. Lights swept across the gardens. Somewhere below, men spoke in low voices. She stood before the mirror and removed the necklace. The blue stone felt strangely warm in her hand. She turned it over and noticed a thin line along the silver swan. Lily pressed her fingernail against it. A hidden compartment opened. Inside was a tiny brass key. She carried it directly to Sebastian. He was in his bedroom, standing before a wall of surveillance screens. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his elbows. Maps and photographs covered a nearby table. He turned when she entered. "The guards tried to stop me," Lily said. "I told them you would be angrier if they did. They know better than to believe you." She held out the key. "I found this inside the necklace." Sebastian took it from her. The moment he saw the shape, his expression changed. "What does it open?" He walked into the corridor without answering. Lily followed him down the grand staircase and through a locked gallery in the oldest part of the estate. Portraits of dead Romano men watched from the walls. Sebastian stopped before a painting of the sea. A silver swan had been carved into the frame. He inserted the key into a hidden opening. The painting moved away from the wall. Behind it was a narrow safe. Sebastian stared at the door for several seconds. "My mother used to bring me here when I was a child," he said. "She told me the sea kept secrets better than men." He opened the safe. Inside lay a bundle of letters, a small music box, and a photograph. Sebastian picked up the photograph first. It showed Elena standing beside a stone building near the ocean. A date had been written on the back. The date was 6 months after her funeral. Sebastian went completely still. Lily watched the color drain from his face. He turned the photograph over again, as though the numbers might rearrange themselves. She was alive. The words came from him quietly. They carried more pain than Lily had heard in any scream. Sebastian opened the first letter. The paper shook once between his fingers. "My dearest Sebastian," he read. If you ever find the swan, then the men who promised to protect us have failed. Do not believe the grave. Do not believe the funeral. Do not trust the man who tells you that family loyalty matters more than truth. The letter ended abruptly. The remaining pages were blank. Sebastian dropped them into the safe. He stepped away, his face closing. Lily saw the exact moment vulnerability became anger. Who knew about this room? She asked. My mother? My father? Me? Your father is dead. Yes. Then someone else learned. Sebastian looked at the photograph again. Or one of them lied to me from the beginning. A voice came from the gallery. Your mother was ill. Sebastian, you should prepare yourself for the possibility that the letter was written during one of her episodes. Matteo Romano entered slowly. He was in his early 60s, silver-haired and impeccably dressed. To the rest of Boston, he was Sebastian's uncle and diplomatic advisor. Inside the organization, he was the man who had guided Sebastian after his father's death. Vittorio had always treated Lily politely. That suddenly felt more frightening than open cruelty. Sebastian handed him the photograph. This was taken after the funeral. Vittorio examined it. Or the date was added later. Lily watched his face. He did not appear surprised enough. Vittorio noticed her attention. You have caused considerable trouble for a housekeeper. I bought a necklace from a missing vendor at a market with disabled cameras. Lily lifted her chin. Someone shot at me. That suggests I was not supposed to survive long enough to explain myself. Vittorio smiled without warmth. Intelligent women often mistake suspicion for proof. Sebastian stepped between them. She is not to be questioned without me present. Vittorio looked at his nephew. Your attachment to the witness is developing quickly. She is under my protection. She is a servant wearing Elena's necklace. Sebastian's voice became dangerously soft. Choose your next words carefully. Silence spread through the gallery. Vittorio lowered his head slightly. Of course. Lily saw the truth before Sebastian did. Vittorio was not shocked that Sebastian had defended her. He was measuring how far Sebastian would go. The following morning, Sebastian took Lily back to the harbor. He refused to send her with his men. He sat beside her in the rear of an armored black car, while 3 other vehicles surrounded them. Boston passed beyond the tinted windows in flashes of gray stone. Ocean light and narrow streets. Lily wore the necklace beneath her coat. Sebastian had ordered her not to remove it. It is bait, she said. It is evidence. It is around my neck, which is why I am sitting beside you. She turned toward him. Do you hear yourself? Constantly. You are using me to draw out whoever wants the necklace. I am protecting you while they try. That is not the same thing. Sebastian looked at her. No. It is more effective. Lily faced the window. She felt his attention remain on her. At the harbor market, the stall where she had purchased the necklace was an empty square of pavement. The surrounding vendors claimed not to remember the elderly man. Lily walked through the rows of tables, trying to recall every detail from that Sunday. Near the end of the market, a young girl sat beside a table covered in old books. She recognized Lily. The girl pointed toward the necklace beneath Lily's coat. The old man said someone would come looking for the swan. Sebastian crouched in front of her. What old man? The one who sold it. He gave me $20 to watch his table while he went to get coffee. Did he return? The girl shook her head. Did he say anything else? She thought for a moment. He said that when the boy saw the swan, he would remember the sea. Sebastian's eyes hardened. Lily knelt beside him. Did you see anyone with the man? A woman waited in a gray car across the street. What did she look like? She had white hair. She wore gloves, even though it was warm. The girl handed Lily a folded piece of paper. She said to give this to the woman wearing the necklace. Sebastian took the paper before Lily could touch it. A single address had been written inside. It belonged to an abandoned church near the northern coast. They reached the church just before sunset. Wind moved through broken, stained glass. Dust covered the wooden pews. The altar had collapsed beneath years of water damage. Sebastian ordered half his men to remain outside. Lily walked beside him through the center aisle. Someone had recently placed fresh white roses before a statue of the Virgin Mary. Sebastian touched one of the petals. "My mother loved these." A sound came from behind the altar. Sebastian drew his weapon and moved Lily behind him. An elderly priest stepped from the shadows with both hands raised. "I have waited a long time for you, Mr. Romano." Sebastian did not lower the weapon. "Who are you, Father Gabriel Moretti? I gave your mother sanctuary for 3 nights after she escaped." Sebastian's face became unreadable. "Escaped from whom?" The priest looked toward Lily. "From the man who arranged her funeral." He led them into a small room beneath the church. Inside was an old film projector and a metal box marked with Lena Romano's initials. Father Gabriel explained that Elena had arrived injured and terrified 20 years earlier. She claimed that someone within the Romano family had tried to drug her, declare her unstable, and take control of a trust inherited from her parents. She intended to take Sebastian and flee. Before she could return for him, armed men found the church. Father Gabriel helped her escape through a tunnel leading to the cliffs. He never learned whether she reached safety. The next morning, the city announced Elena Romano's death. "Why did you remain silent?" Sebastian asked. "Because the men who came for her brought me photographs of every child living in the church orphanage." Sebastian looked away. Father Gabriel opened the metal box. "Your mother left this behind." Inside was a film reel. The projector flickered to life. Elena appeared against a white wall. She was younger than Sebastian remembered her, but fear had hollowed her eyes. "Sebastian," she began, "if you are watching this, then I failed to return for you." He stood motionless as his mother's image trembled across the wall. Elena spoke of hidden accounts, stolen inheritances, and secret payments to judges and doctors. She did not name the man responsible. She feared the film might be found before it reached Sebastian. But she gave him a warning. "The person who brings you the swan is not your enemy. The necklace must travel through innocent hands. Trust the person who had nothing to gain by finding it." Sebastian looked at Lily. The projector light moved across her face. For the first time since the necklace had appeared, suspicion vanished from his eyes. Something deeper replaced it: trust. It frightened Lily more than his anger had. A red light flashed against the church window. Sebastian turned. "Get down." The explosion destroyed the front doors. Fire rolled through the sanctuary. Sebastian pulled Lily behind a stone column as gunfire tore through the church. His men returned fire from outside. Smoke filled the aisle. Burning wood fell from the ceiling. Father Gabriel collapsed near the projector. Lily tried to reach him, but Sebastian caught her around the waist. "You cannot help him if you are dead." He dragged her toward the tunnel behind the altar. A masked gunman stepped through the smoke. Sebastian fired first. The man fell. Another appeared near the stairs. Sebastian pushed Lily behind him and took a bullet across the shoulder. He staggered but remained standing. Lily saw blood spread through his shirt. "Sebastian, move." She caught his arm and pulled him toward the tunnel. They descended into darkness while the church burned above them. The tunnel opened onto a cliff overlooking the ocean. Rain had begun to fall. Sebastian leaned against the stone wall. One hand pressed to his shoulder. Lily tore the sleeve from her blouse and forced the fabric against the wound. The bullet passed through. He said, "You are still bleeding. I have done that before. Then you should know how serious it is." His gaze moved over her face. "Are you hurt? Stop asking me that when you are the one covered in blood. Answer me." "I am not hurt. Only then did tension leave his jaw. Black vehicles appeared on the road below. Raphael's men secured the cliffs and carried Father Gabriel from the tunnel. The priest was alive but unconscious. Sebastian refused to go to a hospital. He took Lily to a hidden safe house overlooking the sea. The house was small by Romano standards, with dark wooden walls and storm shutters sealed against the rain. A doctor removed fragments from Sebastian's shoulder and left before midnight. Lily sat beside the bedroom window while Sebastian slept. She should have been thinking about the people trying to kill her. Instead, she watched the rise and fall of his chest. He had protected her in the church before protecting himself. He had taken the bullet because he placed his body between her and the gunman without hesitation. Sebastian Romano was capable of ordering death with a calm voice. He was also capable of bleeding quietly so she would not be afraid. Near dawn, he opened his eyes. "Why are you still here? The doors are guarded. That has never stopped you from arguing about leaving." Lily approached the bed. "Your mother said to trust me." "My mother did not know you." "No." She looked at the bandage across his shoulder. "But she knew that whoever found the necklace would have no reason to risk everything for you." Sebastian sat upright slowly. "You did not risk anything for me. I pulled you through a burning tunnel. You were saving yourself." Lily almost smiled. "You are impossible. And yet you stayed." The words settled between them. Rain struck the windows. Sebastian reached toward her face. His fingers stopped near her cheek. That hesitation affected Lily more than the touch would have. He could command armies of armed men. He could close streets and silence rooms simply by entering them. But touching her frightened him. "Why did you stop?" she whispered. His hand lowered. "Because I do not know whether I want to protect you or possess you." Lily's heartbeat quickened. Those are not the same thing. They have never been different to men in my family. Then be different. His eyes darkened. "You do not understand what you are asking." "I am not asking for anything. That is the problem." He rose from the bed despite the pain in his shoulder. Lily stepped back until the window was behind her. Sebastian stopped close enough that she could feel his breath. "I have spent years surrounded by people who wanted money, power, protection, or a place beside me. You look at me as though none of it impresses you. It does not. You should be more careful." "Why?" "Because I am beginning to find that irresistible." His gaze dropped to her mouth. Lily could feel the storm pressing against the walls. Sebastian lifted his uninjured hand and touched the necklace at her throat. His knuckles brushed her skin. He leaned closer. An alarm sounded downstairs. The moment shattered. Sebastian turned immediately. Raphael entered with a blood-stained envelope. Someone had left it outside the gate. Inside was a photograph of Lily sleeping in her apartment 2 weeks earlier. Another showed her leaving the flea market wearing the necklace. A final photograph showed Sebastian shielding her during the shooting at the estate. A message was written across the back. "Open Elena's grave, or the housekeeper will enter one of her own." Sebastian stared at the words. Lily felt the cold reach her bones. They returned to the Romano estate under heavy guard. By morning, Sebastian had obtained a court order and closed the family cemetery. Elena's grave stood beneath an ancient oak tree behind a stone chapel. Rain darkened the earth. Armed men formed a perimeter while workers raised the marble lid of the tomb. Sebastian stood beside Lily. Vittorio waited near the chapel with several senior members of the family. Bianca Conti stood with him. Bianca was the daughter of a powerful allied family, and the woman newspapers had expected Sebastian to marry for years. She was elegant, beautiful, and visibly disgusted by Lily's presence. "You brought the servant to a family grave," Bianca said. Sebastian did not look at her. "Lily is here under my protection, wearing your mother's necklace like stolen jewelry." Sebastian turned his head. "Say another word about her, and your family will spend the next decade apologizing for it." Bianca fell silent. The workers lifted the coffin from the grave. Sebastian's face showed nothing. Only Lily noticed his hand closing into a fist. Raphael opened the rusted locks. The coffin lid rose. Inside was a woman's skeleton, dressed in a decayed blue gown. The silver necklace was missing. Sebastian stepped closer. For one terrible second, Lily wondered whether the mystery had ended. Perhaps someone had robbed the grave. Perhaps Elena truly had died. Then the medical examiner examined the remains. This woman was approximately 60 when she died. Lena Romano had been 38. The cemetery became silent. Sebastian stared into the coffin. That is not my mother. Vittorio crossed himself. Then someone replaced her body. Sebastian looked toward him. Or she was never here. The examiner found something beneath the skeleton. A Romano family coin, the same design recovered after the shooting at the estate. Lily looked at Vittorio. His expression remained controlled, but his left hand had begun to tremble. Sebastian saw it. Uncle. Vittorio met his gaze. Do not make accusations while standing over a grave. Who identified my mother's body? Your father. Who arranged the funeral? Your father and I. Who ordered the coffin sealed? Vittorio's eyes hardened. Your father? Bianca stepped forward. This is madness. The housekeeper arrived. And suddenly graves are being opened and churches are burning. Lily faced her. Someone tried to kill me before I knew any of this. Perhaps that was the plan. Bianca looked at Sebastian. Perhaps she was sent to make you believe exactly what you are believing now. Sebastian moved between them. Lily did not bring the necklace to me. She wore it while cleaning my dining room. He looked toward the assembled family members. Someone inside this family saw it and panicked. Nobody spoke. Sebastian took Lily's hand in front of them all. The gesture was more dangerous than a declaration. Every person present understood what it meant. Lily was no longer merely protected. She had been publicly placed beside him. Bianca's face changed. Vittorio watched their joined hands with quiet calculation. That afternoon, a financial investigator uncovered payments made for more than 19 years to a private medical facility on the coast of Maine. The account was registered beneath a false company controlled by Vittorio. Sebastian summoned his uncle to the estate. Vittorio did not come. His home was empty. His guards had disappeared. Bianca Conti could not be found. Sebastian immediately ordered Lily moved to the underground safe room. She refused again. This is not a discussion, he said. You finally believe me. And your first decision is to lock me in another room. Vittorio knows that I care whether you survive. Then let me help. You are the reason he is exposed. Exactly. Sebastian approached her. You think that makes you powerful? It makes you the first person he will use against me. Lily held his gaze. You already taught him that I matter when you took my hand at the cemetery. His expression darkened. That was a mistake. The words hurt more than she expected. Lily stepped back. I understand. Sebastian caught her wrist. No. His grip loosened immediately. That is not what I meant. You said it clearly. I should never have shown them what you have become to me. What have I become? He said nothing. Lily waited. The great Sebastian Romano, feared by judges, criminals, and politicians, could not answer one simple question. She pulled her wrist free. That is what I thought. Lily entered the safe room alone. The door closed behind her. For several minutes, she stood in the center of the luxurious underground chamber, trying to control the ache inside her chest. Then the lights went out. A chemical smell entered through the ventilation system. Lily covered her mouth. But dizziness came quickly. The final sound she heard was the door unlocking from the outside. When Lily woke, she was inside a moving vehicle. Her wrists were bound. A dark cloth covered her eyes. Her head rested against cold metal. Bianca's voice came from across the vehicle. You should have remained a housekeeper. Lily forced herself upright. You helped Vittorio enter the estate. I helped restore balance. By kidnapping me. By removing a weakness Sebastian should never have allowed himself to develop. Lily heard the bitterness beneath her words. You wanted to marry him. Bianca laughed softly. Marriage was never about affection. Our families would have controlled the eastern ports together. Then you appeared wearing a dead woman's necklace. And Sebastian began choosing emotion over power. The vehicle turned sharply. Lily concentrated on every sound. Gravel beneath the tires. Waves in the distance. A bell ringing somewhere beyond the road. They were near the coast. Hours later, the cloth was removed. Lily stood inside a decaying medical facility built above a rocky shoreline. The windows had been covered with metal shutters. Old hospital beds lined the corridors. Armed men watched every exit. Vittorio waited in a former treatment room. He looked tired rather than defeated. You have created an extraordinary amount of damage for a woman who spent $5, he said. Lily faced him. Where is Elena? Vittorio smiled. Sebastian has become emotionally careless because of you. That does not answer my question. No. It confirms why you are useful. He led her through a locked corridor. At the end was a room overlooking the ocean. An elderly woman sat beside the window. Her hair was white. Her body was thin beneath a pale dress. But the shape of her face was unmistakable. Lena Romano looked up. Her eyes moved to the necklace around Lily's throat. Tears filled them. The swan found him. Lily could barely speak. Sebastian knows you are alive. Elena closed her eyes. Thank God. Vittorio stood in the doorway. Do not mistake survival for victory. Lily turned toward him. You kept her here for 20 years. Not continuously. His voice was almost conversational. Elena escaped more than once. She reached churches, doctors, even journalists. Each time, I reminded her what would happen to her son if she spoke publicly. Elena looked toward Lily. He told me Sebastian had become like his father. He showed me photographs of men Sebastian had killed. He said my son would murder anyone I approached. Lily knelt before her. Sebastian spent 20 years believing you were dead. Pain crossed Elena's face. Vittorio stepped closer. Elena's inheritance gave the Romano family access to shipping companies, real estate, and political influence. Her death transferred control to her husband. After his death, much of it transferred to Sebastian. But if Elena was alive, the transfers were illegal. Sebastian's empire had been built partly upon assets he never legally inherited. You staged the funeral for money, Lily said, for survival. Vittorio's eyes turned cold. Sebastian's father was reckless. Elena intended to leave him and expose every secret she knew. The family would have collapsed. I preserved it. You imprisoned her. I preserved the empire her son now enjoys. Lily looked at Elena. How did the necklace reach the market? A nurse named Margaret helped me. Elena said. I gave her the necklace and the key. She promised to place them where ordinary people traded forgotten things. Vittorio watched lawyers, priests, and journalists. He never watched flea markets. Vittorio's mouth tightened. Margaret died before I discovered what she had done. The necklace moved through several storage auctions before reaching Lily. It had been chance. A $5 accident that had uncovered 20 years of lies. Vittorio placed a telephone on the table. You will tell Sebastian to bring Elena's letters, the film, and every copy of the financial records. He will not trade evidence for me. Vittorio studied her. You still do not understand him. Lily thought of Sebastian stepping into bullets. She remembered his hand stopping near her cheek and the fear beneath his confession. Perhaps she understood him too well. Sebastian discovered Lily's disappearance 7 minutes after the safe room had been opened. The guard responsible was found unconscious near the service entrance. Security footage had been replaced with a loop recorded the previous night. Raphael expected Sebastian to explode. He did not. Sebastian became silent. That silence frightened every man in the estate. He watched the recording of Lily entering the safe room. He saw the hurt in her face after he had called their public connection a mistake. He had spent his entire life believing that affection created weakness. Now Lily was gone because he had tried to hide what she meant to him instead of trusting her with it. A telephone rang on his desk. Vittorio appeared on the screen. Lily sat behind him with her wrist bound. Sebastian's face remained still. If you have touched her, there is nowhere on this earth where your death will be quick. Vittorio smiled. There is the nephew I raised. Where is she? Bring every piece of evidence Elena left behind. Come alone. Lily looked directly into the camera. Sebastian. Do not. Vittorio struck the side of her face. Sebastian rose so quickly that the desk moved across the floor. Lily recovered and looked toward the camera again. There is a bell near the water, 3 rings every hour. The road is gravel. The building smells like salt and medicine. Vittorio cut the connection. Raphael was already searching maps. Sebastian stood motionless. Blood had appeared where his fingernails pressed into his palms. Raphael looked at him. We will find her. Sebastian stared at the empty screen. No. His voice was low. I will find her. The bell Lily described belonged to an abandoned monastery on the Maine coast. A private medical facility had once operated on the neighboring property. Sebastian prepared the documents Vittorio demanded. He also mobilized every loyal man under Romano command. Before leaving, he entered Lily's empty bedroom. Her canvas bag rested on the chair. A paperback novel lay open beside the bed. A chipped ceramic cup held the cheap hand cream she used after cleaning with harsh chemicals. Nothing in the room belonged to his world. That was why everything inside it felt more intimate than his own bedroom. Sebastian picked up Lily's worn coat. He remembered her question. What have I become? He had been too afraid to answer. Now the answer existed inside him like a wound. She had become the first person whose absence made his power feel useless. At the coastal facility, Vittorio moved Elena to an underground operating room. Bianca guarded Lily while armed men prepared for Sebastian's arrival. Lily studied the room. Old cabinets contained medical supplies. Rusted instruments rested on trays. Cleaning chemicals stood inside a storage closet. She had spent years cleaning hotels, hospitals, offices, and wealthy homes. People rarely noticed housekeepers. They also rarely understood how much housekeepers noticed. Lily saw the emergency sprinkler pipe above the doorway. She saw the loose electrical panel near the sink. She saw the bottle of industrial alcohol inside the cabinet. Bianca followed her gaze. Do not try anything foolish. Lily looked at her. Did Vittorio tell you what happens after Sebastian gives him the evidence? Bianca's expression did not change. We leave. He cannot leave witnesses. I am not a witness. You opened the safe room for him. You helped kidnap me from Sebastian's estate. You know Elena is alive. Bianca looked toward Vittorio's guards. For the first time, uncertainty entered her face. Lily leaned closer. Vittorio preserved his secret for 20 years. Do you really believe he will trust you with it? The sound of vehicles approached outside. Vittorio smiled. Sebastian had arrived. He entered the building alone, carrying a metal case. Rain covered his black coat. Blood from his healing shoulder had begun to stain his shirt again. Armed men surrounded him. Vittorio waited at the far end of the corridor. Where is Lily? Sebastian asked. Where are the documents? Sebastian placed the case on the floor. Show her to me. Vittorio opened the operating room door. Lily stood beside Bianca. Elena sat behind them in a wheelchair. Sebastian saw his mother. For the first time in 20 years, the controlled mask disappeared from his face. Mother. Elena raised one trembling hand. Sebastian. The single word nearly broke him. Vittorio lifted a weapon toward Lily. The documents. Sebastian looked at Lily. A red mark darkened her cheek where Vittorio had struck her. His expression became calm again. Deadly calm. He pushed the case forward with his foot. Vittorio ordered one of his men to open it. Inside were the letters, the original film reel, and several drives containing copied records. Burn them, Vittorio said. A guard poured fuel over the contents. Lily stared at Sebastian. He had surrendered the proof. For her, Vittorio lit a match. 20 years of evidence disappeared beneath flames. Sebastian did not look away from Lily. Vittorio smiled. Your father would be ashamed of you. My father built a kingdom and died alone inside it. Sebastian's voice carried through the room. I will not make the same mistake. Vittorio pointed the weapon toward Elena. Choose? Then. Your mother or the housekeeper? Sebastian looked between them. Lily saw the agony he refused to show. Vittorio wanted him to choose because either answer would destroy something inside him. Sebastian reached beneath his coat. Every weapon in the corridor rose. He slowly removed his gun and placed it on the floor. Both. Vittorio laughed. You cannot save both. I am not asking permission. The lights went out. Lily had poured the industrial alcohol into the sink and placed a torn piece of cloth near the electrical panel while Bianca was distracted. A spark ignited the vapor. The explosion was small, but the emergency system activated. Water poured from the ceiling. Chaos filled the corridor. Sebastian dropped behind a steel table as gunfire erupted. Raphael's men crashed through the rear doors and windows. Bianca released Lily and ran. Lily pushed Elena's wheelchair behind an operating table. Vittorio grabbed Lily by the hair and dragged her upright. His weapon pressed against her throat. Sebastian appeared through the smoke and water. He was bleeding from his side. Vittorio pulled Lily closer. One more step, and she dies. Sebastian stopped. His gaze locked onto Lily's face. Everything around them seemed to disappear. Lily saw his fear. It was not fear for himself. It was the terror of losing her. Vittorio smiled against her ear. Look at him. The great Sebastian Romano brought to his knees by a woman who cleaned his floors. Sebastian lowered himself slowly. His knees touched the wet concrete. Lily's breath caught. Every man in Boston feared Sebastian Romano. Yet he knelt without hesitation because a weapon was pressed to her throat. Let her go. Sebastian said, You can take me. Vittorio's grip tightened. You were supposed to become stronger than your father. I did. How? Sebastian looked at Lily. I learned that loving someone is not the same as surrendering power. Vittorio turned the weapon toward Sebastian. Elena rose unsteadily from the wheelchair. She held a syringe taken from the medical tray. Before Vittorio could fire, she drove it into his shoulder. He shouted and turned. Lily slammed her elbow into his chest. The weapon fell. Sebastian crossed the room. He struck Vittorio once and drove him against the wall. Vittorio reached for a hidden knife. Sebastian fired. The sound echoed through the operating room. Vittorio collapsed beneath the portrait of the medical facility's forgotten founder. For several seconds, Sebastian stood over him. Then he turned toward Lily. She had never seen him look uncertain. Are you hurt? The familiar question nearly made her cry. Lily shook her head. Sebastian crossed the room and pulled her into his arms. There was nothing restrained in the way he held her. One arm locked around her waist. The other cradled the back of her head against his chest. His body trembled. Lily pressed her face against him. He was soaked with rain, sprinkler water, and blood. I thought I had lost you, he said. You almost did. His arms tightened. I know. She pulled back enough to see his face. You called me a mistake. Showing them what you meant to me was the mistake. That is not what you said. I was a coward. The admission seemed to cost him more than the blood running from his wounds. Lily touched his face. What have I become? Sebastian. He closed his eyes briefly. The only person I cannot order myself to live without. Lily's anger broke beneath the raw truth in his voice. Sebastian pressed his forehead to hers. I do not know how to love gently. Then learn. His eyes opened. Teach me. Lily kissed him. The kiss was not soft at first. It carried every interrupted moment, every accusation, every bullet, and every fear they had refused to name. Sebastian held her as though the world had already taken too much from him. When they separated, Elena was watching from beside the operating table. Tears moved down her face. Sebastian went to her. For a moment, mother and son stood inches apart like strangers, separated by an entire lifetime. Elena lifted her hand to his cheek. You look like the boy I left behind. Sebastian covered her hand with his. I am not that boy anymore. No. She looked toward Lily. But she found him. Sebastian closed his eyes as his mother pulled him into her arms. He had not cried at her funeral. He had not cried when his father died. He had not cried during wars, betrayals, or nights when blood covered his hands. But he cried quietly against his mother's shoulder while Lily stood beside them and held his hand. 3 months later, the Romano estate no longer felt like a prison. The broken windows had been replaced. The hidden safe had been emptied. Vittorio's allies had been arrested, exiled, or removed from power. The evidence he burned had been copies. Raphael had secured the originals before Sebastian traveled to Maine. Bianca Conti accepted a reduced sentence in exchange for testimony against Vittorio's remaining network. Elena recovered slowly in a private wing overlooking the gardens. Some days she spoke for hours. Other days, memories exhausted her before noon. Sebastian visited her every morning. He never entered without Lily. Lily no longer worked as a housekeeper. She used part of the recovered Romano trust to create safe housing for women trapped by criminal families, abusive employers, and powerful men who believed money gave them ownership over human lives. Sebastian argued that the project needed more guards. Lily argued that it needed more counselors. They compromised by hiring both. One bright autumn morning, Lily found Sebastian waiting in the marble foyer where he had first seen the necklace. The estate doors stood open behind him. Elena sat near the staircase. The silver swan rested inside a velvet box on her lap. Lily approached slowly. Elena opened the box. This was given to me by my mother, she said. I wore it on the night I married Sebastian's father. Later, it became the only thing I could send into the world without being followed. She lifted the necklace. I thought it would lead my son to the truth. Her eyes softened. I did not know it would lead him to you. Lily shook her head. It belongs to you. It belonged to the woman I was before they buried my name. Elena placed the necklace around Lily's throat. Now it belongs to the woman who brought me home. Lily touched the blue stone. Sebastian stood before her. He wore black, as always. But there was no weapon visible beneath his coat. There were still guards beyond the doors. Enemies still existed. Power still demanded blood and sacrifice. Sebastian had not become harmless. He had become something rarer, a dangerous man who had finally chosen what his danger would protect. He reached for Lily's hand. The first time I saw you wearing that necklace, I believed you had entered my home to destroy me. Lily smiled faintly. You locked every gate. I wanted to keep the threat contained. And now, Sebastian looked toward the open doors. Now I know the threat was never you. He lowered himself before her. Lily stared at him. He had knelt once in blood and smoke to save her life. Now he knelt in sunlight. A dark ring rested in his palm. My mother was buried without being dead. He said, my heart was buried with her. You returned both to me. His voice remained steady. But Lily felt his hand tighten around hers. I cannot promise you a peaceful life. I cannot promise that the world surrounding me will ever be safe. But I can promise that no secret, ampere, or fear will stand between us again. Lily looked down at the man feared across the city. Will the gates remain open whenever you wish to leave? And if I stay, Sebastian's eyes held hers. Then every gate in this world will close against anyone who tries to take you from me. Lily laughed through her tears. That is still dangerously possessive. I am learning slowly. She touched his face. Yes. For the first time, surprise appeared in Sebastian Romano's eyes. Lily smiled. Oh, yes. I will stay. He placed the ring on her finger and rose. When he kissed her, the estate staff watched from the balconies. Guards lowered their heads. Elena pressed one hand over her heart. Sunlight passed through the open doors and illuminated the silver swan at Lily's throat. Years earlier, the necklace had entered a sealed coffin that contained the wrong woman. It had crossed churches, storage rooms, market tables, and ordinary hands. It had survived a grave, a fire, and 20 years of silence. Then a housekeeper had purchased it for $5. And with that small, accidental act, Lily Morgan had uncovered a living woman, destroyed a false empire, and taught a mafia boss that love did not make him weaker. Love gave him something worth surviving for. Beyond the estate, black cars waited beneath the autumn trees. The ocean moved against the cliffs. Sebastian took Lily's hand and led her through the open gates. This time, nobody locked them behind her.